Hello, good evening, and a very warm welcome to all the viewers of Bharat TV, Bharat FM. Because when we first heard the title Disco Diwali with Jalebi Bai, it felt almost like satire, something you never expect to see attached to the word Diwali. Yet, here we are. The name itself captures what we need to talk about tonight: how our most sacred festivals are being hollowed out, their meaning replaced by spectacle, and reverence replaced by irony. So, has Diwali become more about display than devotion? And where do we draw the line between celebrating with joy and losing sight of the real meaning of Diwali? Diwali is not just a festival of lamps, it's a reminder that light must triumph over darkness and that every individual has a duty to choose virtue over indulgence. So when that message is flipped and packaged as entertainment, something in our collective conscience dims. Would you agree? So tonight we have some esteemed guests with us, Dr. Jay Bansal and Geeta Sikkan. Dr. Jay Bansal is a scientist, and so is Dr. Geeta Sikkan. And we are going to discuss, I mean, we are not here to condemn anyone, but we just want to reflect on where we are headed as a culture. And what can we do as a community to restore the balance between celebration and sanctity? So let's begin. So, namaste and very warm welcome to both of you, Geeta Sikanji and Dr. Jay Bansal. Welcome to my program.
Thank you.
So, Dr. Bansal, let me start by asking this first question to you. What does a name like Disco Diwali, you can call it a celebration of darkness, tell us about where our cultural imagination is headed? Have we started mocking what we once considered sacred?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for giving this platform to discuss this important issue. And in spite of the darkness of the topic, let me wish all your viewers a very happy Diwali.
Of course. Very
It
happy
is our
Diwali from all of us,
yeah
too.
yeah. So back to the topic. When I first heard of this particular event being held under this banner, I was frankly shocked. No self-respecting Hindu could celebrate a festival that we hold so near and dear and so sacred in this manner. So, the title, in my opinion, is not just in bad taste, it is really a symbolic of a deeper rot that has taken hold in our culture and in our society. To turn Diwali, a festival that celebrates light conquering darkness, into celebration of darkness is not just creativity, it is exactly the opposite. It reflects how disconnected some of us have become from the inner and deeper meaning of this festival. We're not just talking about a party or an event name, we're witnessing a growing mindset that finds amusement in mocking the sacred. For some, irreverence has become a form of, being cool or being quote unquote modern. This points to an emptiness at the cultural core, a generation that inherited rituals without understanding their deeper meaning. This is not a reason to be angry, but I think a reason to reflect and act. I think it tells us that cultural education must become an important part of this celebration. So I'll leave it there and and get back to you.
Yeah, looks like we lost Geeta ji. She probably lost some connection, but she'll get back. So let's just let me just ask the next question to you. That when Diwali, the festival of light, we call it like it's the victory of good over evil, and when it is turned into a nightclub theme, what happens to the meaning behind it? I mean, would you say it's just like a harmless fun? Because when I talk to some people, they said, oh, come on, so what? It's just fun. It's their version of Diwali. And why you take it that seriously? That's the feedback I got from some women. But do you think, I know you already talked about it, but is it a symptom of something much deeper? Yes, cultural erosion you mentioned, but is it a symptom of something much deeper than just a cultural erosion?
Yeah, so Anjali, since Geeta ji is back, I wonder if we should park it here and field this question over to her. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, so let's see. Yeah, mark it as for editing. Anyway, yeah. Mm.
Sure. So, Geeta ji, we lost you for a few minutes, but
I
this,
know, I don't know what happened.
no worries. So, Geeta ji, Jay ji gave us a very good response to my first question, that what does the name like disco Diwali, what does it tell us about where our cultural imagination is headed? So so i wanted to ask that, when you turn Diwali into a nightclub theme, then is it just a cultural erosion, or is it something much deeper?
First of all, Anjali, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for having the courage to explore this very important topic. Because if we don't talk about it, then it's never going to get resolved. And we certainly are very, very, like, I get enraged when I hear that they're, doing item dances in the name of Diwali. They can do whatever they want, but hey, don't put Diwali next to that, event. That's what troubles me. Because for me, Diwali equals for like worshipping goddess Lakshmi, who is the embodiment of purity, abundance, and Maryada. So to associate the festival with vulgar displays, item dances, is deeply disrespectful. And we would never see that anyone saying, let's do disco Eid, I mean, and that's good. They should not. So why should they be so dismissive of our religion? And I'm sorry to say that it's also some Hindus that do this. And so we really need to have a wake up call for them as well, because a lot of them will just discount the rituals and say that's just rituals. But we are scientists, and modern psychology has proven that rituals are very important. In fact, as a dietitian who worked for 10 years with hospice care, which is end of life care, we used to talk to our Hindu patients, and they wanted rituals. They wanted us to say certain mantras to them because that gave them peace at the end of life. So, and even in the Jewish religion, they're very much into rituals, and they're very much into that this is our space and we need to have our rituals. So I think even here I say that Hindus should not be dismissive about our rituals, but in fact realize that even psychology has shown that rituals for any religion is very important and very symbolic. Thank you.
Absolutely. We worship Devi Lakshmi, Goddess Lakshmi. She is the goddess who's worshipped during Diwali, because yes, of course, people invoke the energies of Goddess Lakshmi, which we equate with prosperity, happiness, wealth, beauty, whatever. But to incorporate a theme like featuring Jalebi Bai, okay, and those kind of performances at a Diwali event. I mean, is it entertainment? I mean, what is it that you're trying to do? Are you trying to entertain? Are you trying to reduce women to objects and what should be a spiritual celebration? Or are you trying to say that, hey, you can equate goddess Lakshmi with somebody like this, instead of Lakshmi, think about her, or is it's one and the same thing? I mean, I'm sorry, that's not. I don't mean to be talk in such derogatory manner about Devi Lakshmi, but yes, of course, it angers all of us when we see such
Absolutely.
things. So when the day we are supposed to worship goddess Lakshmi and ask for the blessings of Mother Lakshmi, uh, we are asked to see something like this, a theme of jalebi bai.
Sure.
So what are we trying to do? What message are we sending out to the people in general?
Yeah, I think Anjali, you answered partly your own question. This is a festival where we worship Goddess Lakshmi as representation of all that is good, in humankind. She's embodiment of purity, embodiment of abundance and Maryada and all that, as I said, that's good. And then to associate a festival that celebrates that power, that Shakti, with a vulgar display, and is not only tone deaf, but it's deeply disrespectful. It clearly sends the wrong message that entertainment can come at the cost of dignity. Hindu philosophy, as has always celebrated women as Shakti, the creative force of the universe. To see this ideal turn into an object of amusement, under a sacred banner, is deeply, deeply disturbing and painful to me. It also distorts the perception of our culture for the next generation, who may grow up believing that, hey, this is what Hindu Dharma is all about. So I think in nutshell, it's sending a very, very bad message, not just for your and my generation, but for the next generation.
And those people who cannot afford item girls, even in temples, they will have songs, they will have Bollywood songs. Nothing wrong in having Bollywood songs, because I myself sing Bollywood songs. Some of them are, excuse me, very beautiful. But the choice of songs within the temple premises, and when young kids are made to dance on those songs, when during Diwali, that I kind of somewhere it does not sit well with me, and I do question that should we use the temple premises for such performances? Nothing against, personally, against Bollywood as such. Bollywood has, produced some beautiful songs, very spiritual songs. So why not choose those songs over, these item songs?
Yeah, absolutely, Anjali. I mean, we are, yeah, we are not just, we people have multiple interests in, context matters, right? Where you are matters. What the environment is matters. So yeah, bhajan is clearly something that fits a spiritual theme. Clearly is what fits into a mandir setting or in a puja setting. But if you're having a entertainment party for your friends and all that, absolutely, there is plenty of entertaining music and song that comes from Bollywood and other sources. Feel free to play it, but it needs to be, I mean, everything that you do must be consistent with the environment and the context. I think that's very clear. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's all about, in some ways, it's also about appearing cool, appearing modern. So, Geeta ji, such events, right, they reflect a crisis of identity among our urban, um, in people of Indian origin. So they are kind of torn between wanting to appear modern, cool, and yet celebrating tradition. So Uh, Definitely, this is a confusion between glamour and culture. But how would you define it? Just like to get some feedback from you on this.
I'm so pleased you asked this question because as we were having this conversation between JJ and you, I was thinking of Rajat Mitra, a psychiatrist whose research from Harvard has shown that we Hindus, some more than others, are afflicted with the post colonial trauma syndrome. And according to this syndrome, when the British colonialists were ruling us, they divided us into different castes. They did everything they could to make us go into the self loathing pattern and admiration for them, not for us and each other. So when I think of Hindus celebrating Diwali with these item dances, inappropriate behaviors, like eating meat, playing cards, even, it's like we are treating our own religion with disdain. And this is exactly what the colonialists had in mind,
Or
that we,
probably normalizing this,
Mm.
normalizing it, right?
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
they normalized all of this for us.
Mm.
And when we think of our culture, our religion, we must remember that we are the ones who suffered for more than 1200 years by being enslaved. And we are the longest enslaved culture. And so there are anti Hindu forces out there who are trying to dismantle Hindu religion, Hindutva, as we know, Hindu-ness or essence of Hinduism, which is what it is. And so it's very dangerous what's going on because by the end of this century, it could happen that our whole indigenous Hindu religion will be erased unless we Hindus wake up. This
So,
is a wake up call.
Geeta ji, I totally agree with you. I mean, you were just spot on. But here is the question I have. I understand. I agree. We have been through so much of this invasion, and then of course poverty struck us, and then somewhere we lost our sense of self. But no matter what, if somebody were to come and ask you that, hey, listen, your father is not your father, someone else is your father, or you don't have a father, I mean, you will say, hey, listen, I know my father better than what you do. Do not try to lecture me. This, just stay away from this kind of an argument. So I would treat your belief system or your religion like that. If someone tries to give a different version of your essence, which I mean, we actually our belief system, or we stand on those moral grounds, spiritual grounds, because of our religion. And if someone tries to give a negative version or different version, we have all the right. We have to stand up and say that you have got no right to lecture us. So sometimes I think that, yes, of course, invasions and Bollywood and other kind of influences have definitely degraded our culture to some extent, but sometimes we need to look within. If we are strong from within as a community, and if we have the belief and the faith, and we do not allow anybody denigrating our religion, I don't think anybody would have the courage to do that. So why is this that people have the courage to denigrate only the Hindu religion and not the others? And again, I'm not for or against any other belief system. I'm not saying that, but why is it that people think that they have the right, or they are entitled to denigrate Hinduism? Because Hindus are not going to say anything, they will just take it lying down. So when you have an event like this, hundreds of people are going to go and attend. If the same Hindus boycott the event or say, you cannot do this to us, nobody is going to bring such event to town.
Absolutely. Did you want me to go or
Yes,
JJ?
any one of you, either of you should be fine.
So, what I would speak to is that we need to take responsibility because if we don't respect our religion, no one will. And that's where we Hindus need to redevelop our pride in our religion and not allow. Have you seen a Sikh allow anyone to insult their religion? Have you seen a Muslim allow it? Have you seen a Jewish person allow it, or a Christian? No. So why is it that Hindus are so, la-di-da about it, right? We need to take a look and reflect on this. And I ask our viewers to do the same. Thank
Yeah, let me add a bit of color to this. I think those who are deeply anchored in their civilizational narrative and understanding of their cultural values, um, they will stand up, and we're having that conversation. The reason we're having this conversation is because three of us clearly, feel that way. However, when you have a certain narrative that has been bombarded at you, at the society at large for the last 1200 years, and particularly over the last 200 years, you begin to internalize it. So, I have some sympathy, in what Rajat ji has found, and that is that we have become a society of deracinated people, derooted, unrooted from our core self, our heritage. And I think it is up to us as the spokespeople, as educationists, and so on and so forth, to bring those narratives in front back to the society, to recover and retrieve, and basically disseminate that narrative so that people can start feeling pride in who we really were and start realizing that we have been fed essentially falsehood for this period of time. And I think that's when you start basically reconnecting people with their roots, with their real narrative, they will start feeling proud, and that's when they will start raising their voice and start feeling angry about when other people, denigrate our belief system.
And it was kind of ironic that you brought this up, because I remember this maybe a couple of years back that I was invited to. I mean, I had to go to, of course, Diwali in the temple, and then I was invited by a friend to celebrate Diwali in the Gurudwara as well. So we were trying to divide our time, and I went with my daughter and her friend, and then in our temple it was pretty free flowing, because there were Bollywood dancers, and all kinds of costumes were allowed for those children to dance in those costumes. And when I wanted my daughter to wear an Indian dress, and she said, "Oh, look at those kids, nobody's saying anything to them, why are you telling me?" And the same kid, after a few minutes, when we had to go to the Gurudwara, the same kid in the Gurudwara picks up dupatta to cover her head, because
Yes,
she knows that she has to do that. And every single person in the Gurudwara had their heads covered. And there is no way we could have even imagined that that they would have allowed any kind of a Bollywood dance in the Gurudwara. So so coming to this, the next question, that when children and young adults, when they what are these children and young adults learning when they see Diwali celebrated through disco lights and vulgar dances, and how will they understand Deepavali as a festival of self purification and maryada? Maryada, we celebrated for Maryada Purushottam Ram. How would they understand what is maryada?
absolutely, Anjali ji. I think the answer is very clear. Children mirror what they see. I mean, they're learning from our behavior and what they see around us. After all, they are not getting inputs about or knowledge about Hindu Dharma from any source than our behavior. So when they experience Diwali, is limited to parties, loud music, flashing lights, and taking selfies, putting them on social media, and just that's what they would. think Diwali is. And for that matter, other festivals. I mean, we're focusing on Diwali, but basically, whatever we do, to celebrate our festivals, that is how they're going to perpetuate them as they become adults and have their own families and so on and so forth. They're clearly losing touch with their cultural roots. Whether it's Festival of Lights, whether it's Dashera, whether it's Navratri, and all those things. So yeah, Diwali is meant to be, this deeply spiritual thing, but how are they going to get that? How are they going to understand its true meaning if jalebi bai is all they're going to see?
True.
So yeah, I'm actually very deeply disturbed about the how the next generation is going to internalize all these messages.
Geeta ji, you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah. And again, the thought that was coming to me was back to it's that disdain we have for our own religion. Because I see so many Hindus mocking the rituals, they say. But rituals has always been a way for humans not only to cope with blessings, but also with hardships. You know how we have mantras for blessings, we have mantras for hardships, right? And also to gather strength, to reintegrate, and to remind ourselves of our collective purpose. So if we're doing that collectively, then that's what Diwali is all about. It's a collective purpose. And right now, Hindu unity is really at stake. And it's really a time for us to come together. And so, if we all take pride in who we are, our strength will come from that. And as responsible adults, we must speak about the atrocities against Hindus, Buddhists, Sikhs, and Jains everywhere, whether it's happening here or in Pakistan or Bangladesh, we must speak up. That's more important to remind ourselves at Diwali that which are our kith and kin that are suffering. And so we need to build a Hindu consciousness that is lacking. Like some Hindus will say, "अरे वो तो बांग्लादेश में हो रहा है हमें क्या हम तो यहाँ हैं." And so we have to build and develop Hindu consciousness because colonialists did us a lot of harm. And I come back to Rajat Mitra ji, our psychiatrist, who did this wonderful research and showed us that we are some more than others, but Hindus are afflicted with the post colonial trauma syndrome. So they don't take care of their own selves. They don't respect themselves. If you don't respect your religion, you're not respecting your ancestors.
Absolutely.
Not respecting
Developing,
them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, that was a very important point that you said. Developing and raising your consciousness. That is exactly what is missing because that is what Hinduism talks about. Vasudev Kutumbakam, when you feel for others. That's what Lord Krishna says in the Gita. You feel for others as you feel for yourself. So, very true. Do you think, should the Hindu cultural or temple organizations be more selective about which performers and themes they associate the sacred festivals with? And where do you think they should draw the line? Because, if I say, oh, maybe you can have a dance on a classical song, there are so many classical theme songs. Even in Bollywood, maybe you can have a dance on that, or Madhuban mein Radhika Nachi Re. There are several songs like that. And I've seen kids dancing on Char Botal Vodka Ka Mera Rose Ka. And sometimes I just think that, yeah, somebody should say something, but where do we draw the line?
So, our mandirs, with all respect to the presidents, the board members who run the mandirs, they do a great job. It would be helpful if they had a Maryada coordinator for cultural events. And if they did, they could set up the protocols, the guidelines, and I think people would follow that. They just need that guidance. So mandirs may want to take more responsibility. And I think Jaiji may want to speak to that as well.
That's a beautiful role that you just mentioned, Maryada coordinator, so much needed at this time. Sorry, JG, please go ahead. I didn't mean to
Yeah,
interrupt.
no, I think Gitaji's covered it well. Mandir's, that actually I don't know if there are very many mandirs who would allow this kind of denigrating form of art to be presented in their premises. I think there, it, um, but having some sort of a policy statement at the executive board level that says, hey, this is where we draw the line. As you say, a representative who looks after the maryada of what is acceptable and what is not acceptable in the context of a mandir, I think would be a wonderful thing to do. And this is something that we can, VHPA has, organizes this Hindu Mandir Empowerment Council once a year conference, but we have in between meetings as well. This is a topic that we can certainly take up there. But I would be very surprised if there would be any dissension, among the Mandir representatives on this issue. Having a line that says, hey, you can't cross this line on the premises is almost no brainer.
So, social media, they celebrated this concept of Disco Diwali all over United States, and they thought this was trendy. They called it bold. So, how can we challenge this kind of this shallow
Mm.
glorification without sounding regressive or without moral policing?
Yeah. Boy, social media is so difficult to manage in the best of light. Um, I think one thing we shouldn't do is to condemn anything. I think we have to walk in with walk in with confidence and present the positive side of the story. Today's audience is not going to react to negativity, sermonizing, lecturing, and things like that. If we simply criticize, they're just going to, ignore us. So I think what we have to do is to show them the right way to do it. Okay. So, what can we do? We have to probably fill the space with the positive messages about Diwali. And I think one thing we have to do, we work hard on, is how to create a cadre of youth ambassadors because they are the ones who have the creativity to go on social media and really be effective. People of certainly of my generation are not. At least I know that I'm not. Anjali ji, you're much younger. You probably are much more social media savvy than I am. But I think we really need to create a cadre of youth, and that how we do that, I think, is a challenge for the Hindu community at large in so many different ways. But I think that is to me is important. But once we do that, we fill this space with positive messages about Diwali, about other festivals, and talk about what they represent and what they do not. What is the right way to do it and what's not the right way to do it. I think that would go a long way towards countering what we're seeing on social media.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Geeta ji, my next question is to you. Do you think Diwali, in the context of all this that we have talked about, do you think it's becoming a brand rather than a belief? And how can we resist the pull of this commercialization, which is selling this festive vibes while hollowing out the soul of the celebration? And of course, JG has just talked about youth coming forward, but would like to hear your views as well.
I would like to reach out to Bollywood and ask them to take the lead. you know, this movies is a great, powerful media, right? And people emulate what they see in the movies. So I would like really Bollywood to take some responsibility in preventing such
Mm.
mishaps from happening.
We normal people don't have access to the high ups in Bollywood, and there are, Bollywood, of course, it's not all positive things that we hear about Bollywood. And yeah, so I'm not sure if we can really, on a one-on-one basis, and ask them to bring about this huge change in the society, because somewhere Bollywood is to some extent responsible for what we see, these
Yeah.
item numbers, and this is not our creation. Of course, it has come from Bollywood. So to ask them to reverse what they have done, it's going to take like decades. But there are things that we can do as individuals without relying on anyone else, just we ourselves. So, for example, I boycott any shows where I feel that our culture is being denigrated. I don't go. I can take responsibility for myself. I can talk to a few people, or I can bring people, experienced people like you, who influence the society, and we can have these talk shows. But other than that, how else can we influence people?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I have a good answer. I kind of agree with you, Anjali ji. People who create the problem are not likely a good source of creating solutions. I think they have to be forced into it through proper legislation and all that, which is beyond our control. We can only, as I said, I think we can only, generate positive side of the story. What educational, videos or conversations like this that talk about what these festivals are about, and we don't have control over the larger, context. To be perfectly honest. Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
add to that. What I would add is that if we can have the youth take the lead in this, because when the youth does something, so you know how we have our youth on campus, we have so many good youth programs, Hindu youth programs. And if they were to be educated and they further go out, and because they're on social media too, I
Yeah.
think through them we could do a great service to our Hindu community.
But do you think we as a community bear some responsibility for staying silent when sacred symbols are mocked or they are misused in the name of entertainment?
Absolutely, Anjali ji, absolutely. Listen, I think we sometimes do not want to create a scene or dissension or friction. So we take the easy way out. Just don't say anything, walk out or whatever have you, or just look the other way. But frankly, I think if we're seeing something that is not right, um, it becomes our responsibility to speak up. We don't have to. We can be, we can be respectful. But at the same time, be firm about our message and say, hey, this is not appropriate. This is creating this is making a mockery of our, civilizational and cultural values, and our children are getting wrong messages, and therefore it should not be happening. uh, Maybe they will ignore you once, maybe they ignore you twice, but I think no one really likes to, you know, hear criticism. I think they internalize it, and over time, behavior will change. But we as a society just typically do not take, the confrontational, soft confrontational route, and I think we should.
Jaiji, you are also the founder of Hindu Heritage Organization, and very, very proudly, I have to say that because of you, we have all started the Hindu Heritage Month in
Thank you.
October, and all over the United States, we are able to celebrate the Hindu Heritage Month. So, as Hindu Heritage Organization, is there anything that your organization can do so that when people get the proclamation, those who get the proclamation, they also have the responsibility to of ensuring that the actual Hindu heritage and maryada, as we said, is maintained at least in the month of October, or at least during the Hindu Heritage Month whenever we celebrate it.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you, Anjali ji. Hindu Heritage Month is something that I really feel, well, we collectively feel really, really good about. I think it's a concept that has taken roots and, it's gone international. Last year, there were 15 different countries that celebrated it. And so it's that's all positive. How can we use that tool to promote the right way of celebrating our sacred festivals? I think that's something that we can take up. um, One of the strength of Hindu Heritage Month from the get-go by design was to make it into an open architecture so that people don't feel they're being prescribed as to how they should celebrate their heritage. Now, maybe it's time for us to at least deliver soft messages that these things are happening in the society, and we need to pull a, you know, pull on the rope a little bit, and just remind people that those who celebrate these things, who are the public face of the Hindu society, they have a responsibility to uphold a certain standard, and so those are clearly messages that can be delivered through the Hindu Heritage Month concept. But then at the end of the day, it's dissemination of those messages at the local level becomes responsibility of all of us, those who are on the ground level.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, what practical steps can we take through schools, temples, community centers, social media, people who are in at a local level, to bring back the reverence, the joy, the depth of Diwali without alienating the younger generation?
Yeah, so I think that's that probably requires more of a brainstorming, as and developing a playbook, so to speak, as to how we go out, do this outreach to various institutions, whether it's schools, whether it's mandirs, whether it's organizations. Um, but parents of students have a obviously a direct responsibility in connecting with their schools and taking part in these celebrations, actually taking initiative in going out and celebrating our festivals with the school, and designing it in a way that delivers the the appropriate message that we want to do. So I think it's ultimately comes down to the at the ground level. Geeta ji, you have any thoughts from your side,
Yeah,
please?
what I was thinking was, like when I go to the Gurdwara, I see that the kids are in their Sunday school class while the parents are doing the kirtan,
Yeah.
and attending to the satsang. And there's just full discipline, there's no issue. And in that Sunday school class, they're learning their maryada. So जैसे कहते हैं ना, गुरुद्वारे की भी एक मर्यादा होती है ना?
जी जी
तो सिर को ढकना वो उस मर्यादा का हिस्सा है ना? और सेम वे हमारी मर्यादा में हम जूते ज़रूर बाहर उतारते हैं, है ना?
yeah.
गुरुद्वारे में भी उतारते हैं, मंदिर में भी, राइट? पर हमारी और कोई मर्यादा नहीं है। तो इसलिए हमें ना अपने बच्चों को संडे स्कूल्स में भर्ती करके उनको सिखाना चाहिए, जैसे कि गुरुद्वारे में सिखाते हैं। We can emulate the great, examples that we have.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Jay Bansal and Geeta Sikanji. It was there's such a wonderful and educative conversation that we had, and I really hope that our audience is going to benefit from this. So, um, viewers, what we have discussed tonight goes far beyond one event. Disco, Diwali with Jalebi Bai. So this is a symptom of something larger, a culture which is slowly forgetting its own sacred vocabulary. But Diwali has survived worse, for thousands of years. Its lamps have been lit in times of invasion, poverty, and upheaval. The light never went out because it was carried in the human heart. So, what we need now is not nostalgia, but renewal, an active choice to bring back meaning through joy, awareness, and courage. So, let us remember the real celebration of Diwali begins when we light the lamp within, when reverence and happiness coexist. If each of us carries that light into our homes, our temples, our public spaces, no amount of commercial noise or mockery can dim it. So this this kind of a title, Disco Diwali, it's just a mirror of our times. It's inviting us to look beyond the sparkle and rediscover the soul of celebration. So we invite our viewers to look beyond the shimmer, to question, to reflect, and rediscover what it truly means to celebrate in the light of Diwali. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Anjali Swami from Bharat TV. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Those are
you.
beautiful words, Anjali. Very, very, very well put. Thank you.
Superb, Anjali. Did a great job. Thank you.